والجبال أوتادا وخلقناكم أزواجا وجعلنا نومكم سباتا وجعلنا الليل لباسا وجعلنا النهار معاشا وبنينا فوقكم سبعا شدادا وجعلنا سراجا وهاجا وأنزلنا من المعصرات ماء ثجاجا لنخرج به حيا ونباتا وجنات ألفافا إن يوم الفصل كانت ميقاتا يوم ينفخ في الصور فتأتون أفواجا وفتحت السماء فكانت أبوابا وسيرت الجبال فكانت سرابا صدق الله العظيم.
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آله.
That's a Slido code. If anybody wants it, you can just take a picture of the paper. Or if you're on the FIS Facebook youth group, I already posted it on there. Thank you so much.
محمد وآل محمد صلوات.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Narrated in Rijal of Kishish from Yunus, who said, the righteous servant, Godwin, said, O Yunus, be more lenient towards them, for your words are hard hitting on them. I said, but they call me Zindiq. He said to me, what will it harm you if you have in your hands a pearl, but the people will say to you, it is a stone? And what will it benefit you if you have in your hand a stone, but the people say it is a pearl? In another hadith, Al-Mufid narrates from Ibn Hashim Dawood Al-Qasim al-Jafri, who said, I presented the book Yawm al-Layla of Yunus to Ibn Muhammad al-Asbari. He, the Imam, said to me, who authored this? I said, it has been authored by Yunus, the client of the family of Yaqin. He said, may Allah give him for every letter a light on the Day of Judgment. Sallallahu.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل.
Oh, yeah.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Just a few two reminders. This coming Saturday, July 20th, inshallah, we will have our yearly Bahishti Zahra Majlis, starting with Quran at 11 a.m. And then Marsiya, and then inshallah the speech by around 12 p.m., concluding with Noha and then Jamal Salat. And then another reminder is that We have the Slido code for the Q&A, which will be tomorrow, inshallah. If you want, after the majlis, if you want, you can come and take a picture of this, and you can post your question ahead of time, and then it will be read out tomorrow, inshallah. And with that being said, I invite our Sheikh, Majid al-Islam, Sheikh Modarres, to deliver tonight's English speech with a lot of salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
आज मैं वो पावर भूल के सप्लाई इसकी hold on.
Any operator. I think this was set up for the other Modarres. Okay. Yes. Let's do this. I think if this one was a bit higher because it calmed down. This is it. Yes. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. عظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم بمصابنا بأبي عبد الله Hussein عليه السلام. My condolences and my dua, inshallah, that Allah accept all of our mourning, our participation in the majalis to honor the legacy, the message, and the sacrifice of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make these majalis the moments for our forgiveness, the moment that we receive His mercy. Not because we are worthy of it, not because we deserve it, but because He is worthy of His mercy. And we ask Allah with the honor of Imam Hussein, who is Rahmatullahi al-Wasa, the symbol of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's vast mercy, to bless us and send His peace and blessing upon the Prophet and his family. Let's illuminate our majalis and our gathering with the salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. الحمد لله الذي لا بداية له، والدائم الذي لا نفاد له، والأول الذي لا أول لأوليته، والآخر الذي لا مؤخر لآخريته. ثم الصلاة والسلام على خير خلقه وحبيبه، حافظ سره ومبلغ رسالاته، حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد.
وعلى أهل بيت الطيبين الطاهرين الهداة المهديين، سيما بقية الله في السماوات والأراضين، واللعن الداعم على أعدائهم أعداء الله أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين. قال الله تبارك وتعالى في القرآن الكريم: ولا تستوي الحسنة ولا السيئة ادفع بالتي هي أحسن فإذا الذي بينك وبينه عداوة كأنه ولي حميم وما يلقاها إلا الذين صبروا وما يلقاها إلا ذو حظ عظيم. صدق الله العلي العظيم. For the honor of the Messenger of Allah, His Immaculate Progeny Ahlul Bayt, and for the hastening in the return of Imam over time, please say salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد.
We are grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for past 10 nights that we were able to gather and sit with the Quran, sit with the words of the Prophet and the teachings of Ahlul Bayt, and inshallah use the time that we have for a moment of reflection, to use the blessing and the gift of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is our aql, which this gift is underutilized by some, and it's treated as a replacement for God by some, which in both cases it's a very problematic approach. To say that our aql, our intellect, has nothing to do with our lives, it's a sign that we didn't recognize this gift. It's like when you, if you've noticed, thank you so much. You give a machine to someone who never used it in their lifetime. Somebody shared this clip with me. Unfortunately, I cannot unsee it. Once you see it, it's there. And if my teachers from Hausa, they know that now I know these things, I don't know how they would judge me. Somebody sent me this video, I think it's in Pakistan, somewhere in Pakistan. They are giving different things to these people who are from rural areas of Pakistan, from Punjab or somewhere. I remember that it was from Pakistan, I believe. For example, they asked them to try noodles, and they asked for their reaction. Or they give them something that, again, they never had in their lives. It could be food or something else. So you can imagine if somebody never saw something in their life, even if it's a cell phone, they never had anything like it. Probably they will not be able to use it. They probably will see, like children, if you see infants, if you give them a phone, what they would do? What they would do with the phone, if you give it to an infant? Put it in their mouth, use it as a pacifier. Aql is a gift of Allah. If you don't know what it is, we end up using it that way. We use it improperly because we don't know what it is. Some people say, no, aql, just put it aside. You don't have to use it. Just listen to Allah. Istikhara is one thing we've heard from me many times. All due respect to people who do it this way. There are those who ask me for istikhara. Arabs refer to it as khira. It's pretty much the same. And the one that is very famous and well known is to do with Quran. And there are those who do istikhara for everything. I know people who do istikhara for leaving the house. Of course, they're not calling me, I'm not doing that for them. But there are those who do istikhara. They believe in it and I respect it. It doesn't mean I agree with it, but I respect it. I respect the person, but not the opinion. And the issue with that is that, I trust Allah. What's wrong with it? I want to make a decision. Do I know better or Allah knows better? Of course Allah knows better, so I'm asking Allah. I'm consulting Allah. If it's about marriage, istikhara. Buying a car, istikhara. Doing everything, istikhara. And probably I won't be the first, Sheikh talking that, we shouldn't do it. I thought this is the Sheikh's business. No, it's not. Istikhara's original method has to be done by the individual themselves. He or she should do it and should not ask somebody else to do istikhara for you. This idea of now asking others to do istikhara for us is because, number one, our understanding of Quran is limited, so we want somebody to have an understanding to help us. And sometimes just saying that maybe this person has taqwa and they could give me a better. But ultimately the way it was prescribed was done by the individual themselves. There's salatul istikhara, there's a namaz for it, there's a dua for it. But ultimately it's not wajib, it's not a mandatory matter, it's not required. It's recommended for some circumstances. Again, this is all about the term aql. I want to give this introduction before we go to our talk. Aql, which means intellect. And some people not using it the way it was intended by Allah, the way it was prescribed by Allah. So istikhara for some people, the way they do it is a shortcut. Somebody come, ask for the girl or the daughters of the family in marriage, no research, no investigation, no consultation. Are they matched for one another or not? No, istikhara. Istikhara says, no, we don't even let you come. We don't even want to know who you are. Istikhara says, no, we're not going to even proceed. Is that something that Ahlul Bayt said? When Fatima al-Zahra had people who came for marriage, there were multiple people who proposed. The Prophet said, I'm going to do istikhara. Or he came to Fatima al-Zahra and said, my daughter, my Fatima, these are the people who are candidates, they want to marry you. What do you think? And then the response of the Fatima al-Zahra was, what would be something that Allah and the Messenger are pleased with? What kind of person is a good person? But ultimately, the decision was made by her. Some people, they make a shortcut. The shortcut is, istikhara said is good. We're going to go for it. And I've seen in so many cases, istikhara is being used, unfortunately, as a tool of rejection, which is a problem itself. This person goes, I've had a young man talking to me. So I went to multiple proposals. What's the Urdu for proposal? Rishta is before anything, no answer, right? It's just trying, proposing, right? Rishta. So he said, I tried it. And multiple times I hear that they say istikhara was bad. Why Allah doesn't like me? Why Allah doesn't want me to marry? I tell them, let me come forward, get to know me, maybe there is. Before even I get the chance to meet the person, to meet the family, just reaching out, istikhara is bad. And this is not something religious. Culture plays an important role in this. And people have the right, again, it's their family, it's their future, and they're free to do as they like. But I just want you to understand from the Islamic perspective, and Ahlul Bayt ﷺ said when you do istikhara, there is a procedure, there is a process that has to take place. Number one, it's tahqiq, meaning research, investigation. When you make a decision, the first thing you do is you try to figure out, gather information regarding the matter. Does Quran says that, or this is a very modern concept? No, Quran says that. That your responsibility is to have all the pieces before you make a decision. مَنْ جَاءَكُمْ فَاسِقٌ بِنَبَإٍ فَتَبَيَّنُوا. If an unreliable source tells you something, you have to investigate furthermore before you make a decision. You cannot just take their word at the face value. When I look at the Prophet and the battles that Prophet take place at his time, he would do his research. Send people, okay, this is Uhud. I give an example, Battle of Uhud. If you do the history of Islam, you owe it to yourself to learn about it, by the way. As a Muslim, it's critical for us to know what happened during the time of Prophet. It will help us a lot. It will give us context. And when Islamophobe make a comment that your Prophet had a religion of sword and things, when you know the history, you figure out that these battles that we talk about, I know the whole history. I don't just look at snapshots of one part of the Prophet's life. If, for example, imagine if I come, you have a photographer hired, and all they look for is that they take their photo of you when you're yawning. This is their job. They're just waiting for you to yawn or sneeze. In other words, not a very, photogenic moment, whatever that is called, right? After a while, they have hundreds of photos, and they can have a collage of you being someone who yawns. So there's, oh, this person is lazy, or this person is sleeping all the time. This is a snapshot of your life. If somebody look at the Prophet's life and they say, oh look, the Battle of Uhud, the Battle of Bad, the Battle of this, and this is all the snapshot you see. This claim, this accusation that this Prophet was a warmonger, God forbid, and he was a violent person, it may seem reasonable. But if you read the whole history, at least try to have a beginning to the end of his life, 23 years of his prophethood, then you have the context to get what's going on. So the Battle of Uhud, it's near a mountain by the name Uhud, by the way. If you go to, inshallah, one day I do not, if you go for Hajj, people usually, the caravan will take you there and you can see it. Among the decision that Prophet made was this mountain is in a way that there's this plain that people are going to engage in the battle, basically on a level ground rather than a mountain. But this mountain is in a position that if you're not careful, enemy can surprise us, attack us from behind. This is a vulnerable position. So this is the strategy. You are the messenger of God, you make dua to Allah help you, you do everything on that part, but now Allah give you, I point at this not because your aql is here, aql is part of our soul, but Allah give you aql, that's the gesture, but aql is not really here, this is the brain. Brain is not aql, by the way. Brain is a tool that translates what aql is trying to analyze and process. This is a tool. The same way, soul is not the heart. If your heart stops, the soul doesn't, does not stay in this body anymore. But your heart is not your soul. But it's a necessity for soul to be able to live within this vessel, which we call body. So Allah give the Prophet aql. So yeah, I do dua, I do everything necessary, but now I know that the enemies, if they have the opportunity, they will ambush us, they will take advantage of this vulnerability. So what are we going to do? Istikhara. No. Archers, you're going to stay there. And Prophet told them, you are, and there's a leader, there are also soldiers, you're going to guard this position with your life. No matter what happens, you're not going to abandon your post. Okay? Battle began, Muslims won. Now they're collecting, what is known as war booties. This may be a test for me to see how dependent I am on this. Sallallahu alaihi wa sallam.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
They can start gathering what is known as ghanimah. Enemies run away, what is left, they start collecting. And these people who are the entire time, they did not engage in the battle. They were just like kind of backup. And they didn't face any challenge. They start talking to each other that if we don't go, we will not gain nothing. They would say, you didn't fight, what do you expect a share from this? So dunya and their greed kind of worked against them. So let us go get our share. Majority of them, except the commander, the one who was in charge, which warned them not to go, and they didn't listen, they disobeyed. And a few, the rest, all of them left, and they came and started collecting as well. Enemies detected, recognized the vulnerability, the weak point, attacked them, killed the commander and a few archers. And as Muslims, they were collecting war booties, they were hold off guard, they were ambushed, and they lost the battle. It was a defeat for Muslims. It was a battle that Prophet's uncle, a great defender of the Prophet, the one whose title, Master of the Martyrs, was given to him first, Hamza, Sayyid al-Shuhada. Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib, which is Prophet's uncle. He was martyred, not only martyred, again, there were things done to his body, because again, we have children, I don't want to open up, mutilated his body. And Prophet was injured, Imam Ali was injured to defend Prophet. Majority ran away on mountains. Some famous companions ran on the mountains. All of this happened because Prophet used the proper method, which was ask Allah. Allah asking Allah is first. No matter how much you plan, Allah is the best planner. Right? You can predict for everything. You can try to, do everything in your power, but ultimately, when you plan, we said man plans, God laughs. You can do everything in your power, but still there are things over beyond your power. I give an example. All the planning, all the financial planning that anybody could do, who would have predicted COVID? Who would have predicted COVID? that one small, not small, all right, invisible in some sense, virus is gonna literally disable the entire world. No matter how much you plan, your things beyond your control. So that's where Allah is first. And then after that, you do what you can. Because Allah gave you that tool, that ability to do it. In the matter of istikhara, people skip that. They don't ask around. They don't let even the opportunity to be provided. They skip it. And their argument is, Allah knows better. And the answer to that is, if Allah knows better, Allah sent a prophet. He didn't leave me and you to be our own prophet and our own messengers. We are pretty much, we have someone to teach us what God wants from us. Number one. Number two, that prophet we believe as the follower of Ahmad, he didn't abandon us after he left this dunya either. He left, what Allah left after him was Ahmad Bayt. They're going to make sure we still have. So not everybody have their own version. You have a source. And what they say is that you have to do tahqiq, you have to investigate. That's step number one. If you did tahqiq and investigation, and it becomes clear to you that it's a bad decision, you don't do it. That's it. You avoid it. It's a bad decision. All the data, all the information, all the research is pointing that this is being a horrible, bad idea. So you don't do it. Or when something is haram, you can do 200 istikhara. When something is haram, it's not going to matter. I remember somebody said, I did istikhara, I had a relationship. Again, I'm going to say G friend. Right? I had a G friend, and I said, I went to do istikhara. Are we going to come back together or not? So that's why you did istikhara. He said, yeah. So again, it doesn't matter what was the answer. That kind of relationship was to begin with this problem. So to use Quran that is speaking against that kind of relationship, to use it to approve that relationship is a very creative way of using Quran. That's a nice way of saying it. Step number two, if research was not enough, then is istishara, mashwara, consultation. You didn't figure it out, you ask others, you ask the expert, you ask those who have the experience to make a decision, to figure things out. You're the Prophet of God, you consult Salman. Enemies are coming at us, Bab al-Ahzab. They're going to be all around us, we're going to be defending ourselves. Is it a good idea to leave the city? Is it a good idea to stay in the city? Everybody had an idea. Ultimately, consultation, asking for every opinion. The decision was made that we're going to listen to the opinion of Salman. Salman said we're going to dig trenches, that they're wide enough for enemy not to be able to cross it. And we have an advantage to defend the city. Khandak, which is a trench, which is another name for Battle al-Ahzab. So consultation, even the Prophet of God did. And sometimes we don't need anyone. I know everything. I did istikhara. Istikhara said, do it. Why do I need to consult anyone? If these two steps did not help us, then we do istikhara, which is seeking khair from Allah. Said, Ya Allah, I tried the other method. You told me to go that way. It didn't work out. Research said is good, research says bad, it was the same. Pros and cons was pretty much the same. Consultation, one says do it, one says don't do it, exactly the same. I am right now confused what to do. I don't want to flip a coin. I don't want to do rock, paper, scissors. I don't want to do something random. You help me to figure out what to do. Then you do istikhara. That's if you ask the ulama, majority of ulama, this is what they advise. And for you to blindly let somebody marry your daughter or you marry someone without research, without consultation, without knowing who that person is, we cannot blame Allah. But what about Allah? Allah knows better. Yes, He knows better. And he is the one who said, who gave you the aql? Who gave you that ability to differentiate, to decide, to distinguish between different choices? Who gave you that ability? Who? Allah did. So if you're not using that, this is not you being a servant of Allah or loyal to Allah. It's you being oblivious, clueless about Allah's blessing. Let's say somebody complained that their parents go for a trip. MashaAllah, the brother or sister, they're 18, 19, 20. They're a couple of days gone. They come back after a few days, and again, some parents told me stories. So we come back after a while, and they're MashaAllah, they can take care of themselves. And we kind of said, oh, well, I'm hungry, I did not have anything, I didn't have real food. So why? So there was nothing to eat. So what do you mean? Go check the pantry, there's everything. No, but again, I was waiting for the cook ready meal for me to be served. The parents said, no, that's not the case. Everything was here. All you should have done was try. Take out the material and cook something for yourself. Allah said, this aql, I gave it to you. So don't make a shortcut and just ignore it and just ask Allah to do it. Start cooking. Use your ability to see the truth for itself. You research this young man is a good guy, but he has bad habits, he has a short temper, there's a lot of red flags. I don't care how many istikharas that do it. There's so many red flags, don't do it. Don't. This person on paper is a perfect person. But you don't have any level of attraction to them, zero. Nothing. Again, something could be very good, but there should be something. Look, I don't find this person despicable. I should have something. Very, very minimal. If it's not there, it's not the right person. Move on. If you're a perfectionist that out of 20 people that come, nobody matches your standards, again, modify it, please. And probably the pool that is out there is not wide enough to have that kind of candidate. But there should be, you cannot just settle down. There should be, again, someone could be very good, but not match with someone, and that's okay. In marriage, aql is also necessary to be used. The gift of aql should be used. There are intrinsic prophets that Allah sent, and there are external, there are outer prophets that Allah sent. The one who are apparent, they are external, are the messengers of God. Internal hadith says that internal prophet is your aql, is your intellect. And deep down, your fitrah is seeking the truth. It was a long introduction, but necessary to use aql. These majalis, we listen to a lecture, there's Quran, alhamdulillah, revelation, word of wisdom directly from Allah. There is hadith, there's a word of wisdom from the Prophet, on the Ahlul Bayt, again, beautiful, necessary. And then there's a third source, aql. Even if it's not hadith or Quran, it's not against them. It's a complement, it's an additional source. And our aql contribute to this one. And that brings us to tonight's discussion. We talked about what is home wreckers, let's call them. What will wreck your relationship, what will destroy relationships. And we talked about the importance of what we need in order to strengthen the bond within the family. And the last thing we discussed was harama. Nobility, integrity, honor is necessary for a relationship. The next thing necessary to strengthen the bond within a family is the importance of change. Taghyir. إن الله لا يغير ما بقوم حتى يغيروا ما بأنفسهم. Allah says in the Quran, we will not bring change to any nation, to any group of people, unless they begin to change themselves. Going to the aql, meaning don't wait for Allah to do everything for you. You already gave us the tools to make the change. Bani Israel, when Musa told them, let's go fight Fir'aun, what they told Musa alayhi salam? اذهب أنت وربك, you and your Lord go fight. إنها هنا قاعدون. We're going to wait here until you win, then we come and join you. This is someone who think that, okay, we believe in God, we believe in you, you go do everything and come back to us. We come to the Modarres and Allah and say, Ya Hussein, be the wasila, be the mean of khayr. Plead for us before Allah. We ask Allah, Ya Allah, help us. Help my family, help my relationship, help my children, help my spouse. And then Allah said, okay, are you Bani Israel that you are asking Allah to do everything, or no, you're taking a part as well? Because if you're just waiting for Allah to do everything for you, again, you did not understand the message of God. You didn't understand religion properly. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but at the same time, Allah says that I give you the ability to initiate and to start the change. Especially change within yourself. And that's critical. There's so much on this topic that I can discuss. But in order to get there is one of the biggest problems we have is that we're living in the time that this relationship is treated as a secondary matter. It's not that important anymore. How I know that? When you talk about family marriage, Sheikh, he or she has to finish school first. She needs to have a source of income, money first, then family. And again, it's true, you cannot expect somebody to start a family with no money either. But I can see the importance is about wealth. If somebody have a job, if somebody have a stable profession, a source of income, money, if they don't have a family, not a big deal. It's not an issue. If you have a family but you're struggling financially, then everybody have an opinion. Who let you get married if you didn't have the ability to afford it? What's the issue? The issue is, there are many studies done. I think it was around maybe 7-8 years ago, they did a study asking young people in America, North America, of course a sample of all of them, what's the most important thing as a goal, as a future goal for you? And 80% of them said to get wealthy, to get rich. 80%, over 80%. 50% of them said becoming famous. I'm pretty sure that at 50% now over 70% with the influencers and how much now is it's a quick cycle of getting famous is much more. So getting famous. And not on that list was, okay, I want to have a family. Or to think of a family. And the sadness of that, this is something that our faith promotes it. That it's very critical for you to have a family. Your bond with your family, your connection with your family matters. But the secular society, corporations, companies, they don't like that. Do you think corporations prefer us to have families or not to have families? Which one? Think about it. Let's talk about it on paper. You're working for a corporation, for a company. If you have a family, you're not fully invested in the business the way they want you. If you have no family life, they call you on weekend. Can you do overwork? Yeah, I'm available. There's nothing else to do. Are you ready to go there, travel over there, children? Yeah, of course. I'm ambitious. I'm your guy. If you're married, again, there was a whole thing about invisible seating for women. One of the biggest problems for women getting hard was that if they have family, they would even ask them, which Some, I think in some area they made it illegal to ask that if they are married or if they're planning to have children, companies will ask them, are you married? Are you planning to have children? Because it means if you have children, it means maternity leave, it means bad business. If you don't have a family, it means more work, more profit for me. No family, single, doing everything you like, no future plan, kids, more money for me. So it's not a conspiracy theory. Because it's, oh, you know, why corporations should care if you have family or not. No, they do care. Because it's all about money at the end of the day for them. Even when you look at other organizations, political, non-political, why they don't like the Council of Family? Family, community is about people coming together. When you have people coming together, it means it's very different. It's very difficult to persuade them, to make them change their opinion. But if you have divide and conquer, the more isolated people are, the easier it is to persuade them. You're a man of your own, right? You think for yourself. So that's why this rhetoric that, okay, family should not be important. Profession, job, it's all about you making the big bucks, right? It's all about that. Even with social media company, I promise you. One of the best targets for social media company is what age? Anybody knows? They call it target audience, if you've seen. Let me be clear, they're not people over 40 years old. They don't care about them. No offense to all people over, it's not me as I'm talking about them. They don't care, because you don't have time. Majority of people over that age, they don't have time. They already, you know, they see that how life is short and precious, that they don't have a lot of time to spend. The golden age is called the ideal target audience for that is adolescent, all the way to youth, we call it 20s. That's the target audience, right? And adolescent is a term, again, right now the definition of adolescent changes for social media. Because legally they cannot say they want 8 years old to use their platform, but deep down they want more users, they don't care. As long as you can download my app, as long as you can have an account, as long as you can use the traffic, that's all I care. That's mine. And that's the sadness that we don't recognize, that people don't have the best of intention in heart for us all the time. And in my time, we learned stranger danger. If a black man comes at the park and they offer you a piece of candy, stay away from them. And by the way, still do the same thing. I hope it is not, but still. But on the top of that, we should know stranger danger. Now it applies to cyberspace. Meaning you see someone asking for you to spend time on this app, on that platform, on this account and here. They, again, stranger danger, keep away, keep your distance from them. So I talked about this in our community in Masr Rasul. So just think about this. You have people in our community that the children at the age of 7 and 8 have phones. And if you have it, still don't get it. Again, this is not me passing judgment. This is, take me as a Sheikh away. Let's keep it as secular as we can. Ask anyone you like. Psychologists, child psychologists. Ask, I don't know, doctors, MDs. Ask dentists, inshallah, they have their own wisdom to share as well. Who needs a 7-year-old? Who thinks it's a good idea for a 7-year-old, 8-year-old to have a phone, to have an iPhone, a smartphone? Okay, get a phone, you need to pick them up, you need to say, okay, phone this one. Okay. A smartphone, who says it's a good idea? On the top of that, for my 10-year-old to post things on social media. Because they come talk to me, the children, oh Sheikh, I got 10 likes. What did you post? Yeah, I was playing Minecraft, I did this. So you post this, yeah? So your parents know, yeah, they know. They're very encouraging, they're very supportive. It's scary to me. We cannot be naive. The world is a very, very dangerous world, especially social media. It's a scary world out there. And unfortunately, when it's too late, when the damage is done, especially to children, then again, hours or years of therapy sometimes not enough to make them heal. You can look it up online. They were interviewing TikTok CEO in the US. And on the question they asked him, well, how many children do you have? I think he said he had 2 children. Age were around 9, 7, something like that. So do they have TikTok? He said no. So why? He said that it's not confident and suitable for them. But of course, quickly the CEO brain started working. But you know, we make sure that the parental control, that you can make it safe for your children and make sure that they're not exposed to something. But he himself decided that my children are going to have TikTok. So the danger is that when we do not use the aql, the intellect. So, Ya Allah, protect my child as they're watching the TikTok. Ya Allah, you do the work for me. Let me get the 8-year-old an iPhone. Why? Because everybody have it. I don't have any other reason. Apparently, there's a competition with other parents. I don't want my children to feel that they don't have something. So apparently, as a parent, as an adult, I don't make decisions. I'm a pushover, and I don't understand that, okay, if other parents make a mistake, it doesn't justify me making a mistake. Everybody has it. So to just go based on that, what Quran says in your relationship, there are moments that shaitan and your nafs is causing problem, conflict in your marriage, conflict in your family. Meaning that family is not always loving, dovey, flowers, birds singing. There are moments that there are unhappiness in the family. There are struggles, there are conflicts, there are disagreements in a family. And when that happens, you should not question the entire concept of family. Why did I get married? Why did I have this? It's like everything else. There is no such a thing as perfect. In dunya that we live in, our health is not perfect, our beauty is not perfect. There's nothing really perfect. That's the nature of this life. It is filled with so many imperfections. So the question is what you will do about it. Change. When necessary to make change, you have to change. Ya Ali. Usal salawat for him.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
What I mean by change is, one of the reasons things happen is because people expect things to stay the same. Stay the same. Again, this is also proven by many studies, but also logic and Aql tells us the same, is that change is something that is not easy. People do not like change. When you move from one place to another, nobody likes moving, unless it's a better move, right? But usually we don't like that inconvenience. Even adults, when they change jobs, they don't like it. Because it means that was a new learning curve, getting to know people, if we're going to work, are we compatible or not. So change is something nobody likes. We want things to stay the same way. That's why if you ask any man in the world, in the universe, who cooks the best biryani in the world? Their mama. Right? Again, I know they're not going to say it out loud, we all have mercy on their soul. But why is that? Because we don't like change. It's not that the new biryani is not good. We like things to stay the same. That's the nature of it. Again, don't say I like my wife's biryani, I give the credit to you. Good for you, good for you. But the point is that we don't like change. That's why when people get married, it's a change. You're not the same person you were. It means you don't have the same kind of free time you had. Yes, you were spending time with your friends. Yes, you had a lot of time for hobbies. Now you don't. And one thing that couples usually go, and I've seen bickering, is that you cannot change me. I am who I am. You can't change me. And they're right, you cannot change them. The only one can change them is themselves. And some of them who change is not a good change. Somebody expect you to abandon your values, to not to talk to your family, to cut off your ties with them. That's, of course, there's not reasonable, not acceptable to expect somebody to change to that degree. I've seen people say, you know, the moment you're married, your family is dead. That's the way you should look at it. Okay, this is not a kind of change you should listen to, not reasonable, not acceptable. But to say that, you know, you don't have the same kind of time, now you have other priorities as well, that makes sense. But those who don't want to accept the change, that's the moment problem happens. You have children. One of the biggest issues that people have is when they have children. That's something a lot of people don't know. This is not because I had a child recently. Years of doing counseling tells me. The moment, especially those couples that have other existing problems, the moment they have kids, they have additional problems. Let's say you have couples who don't respect each other. They don't value one another's opinion. You have kids, you have an additional problem, because now it's a new topic to have an opinion about how to raise them. And the poor children becomes an arena of competition and experimental approaches. One says do it this way, the other says don't, and this child's feeling that I'm pulled in all kind of direction. And what children needs at that time is what? From the age 7 to 14, this is the most sensitive time. They need consistency and discipline. 1 to 7, children need experimentation. 1 to 7, hadith said, Prophet said, narrated from multiple sources. From age 1 to 7, your children are your prince or your king, meaning let them do things. Do not over-instruct them. They're 1 to 7, let them learn. That's why as I said, even if 2 years old, 3 years old, they're holding the Quran, just do not snatch it away. Oh, you do not wudu. You do not technique, let them. As long as they don't make it, just let them touch the Quran, let them handle it, let them do it. 1 to 7, the way you treat your children is you give them instruction. You don't let them hurt themselves. But you don't take them from one class to another, to another, to another. That's not the time. Muhammad Hussein Tabatabai, I mentioned his name a while ago. He was a hafiz of Quran. He was someone that people in my age didn't like him very much. He memorized the entire Quran and memorized Nahj al-Balagha because he was the one that all the parents used him against them. What's wrong with you? He's younger than you. He has the Quran memorized and he doesn't even know Surah Al-Tayna. What's wrong with you? That's why they didn't like him. Otherwise, he was a very good kid. He was that, unfortunately, the one that was used against him. I remember that they would do interviews with him. He went to Saudi Arabia, they gave him an honorable doctorate in Saudi and the Wahhabis. Because one claim during this time was that the Shias cannot memorize Quran because they are misguided and they are deviated. Their heart is not pure enough to contain it. And then he was one of the people who actually got the kind of worldwide recognition. He was invited to Pakistan, from Singapore, many places, eventually to Saudi. And they tested him. And the way he memorized Quran was, again, if you don't know him, was miraculous in a way, because they would give him a page, they would give him a line, they would ask him to recite backward. They would ask him personal question, he would answer them with Quran. Like, how old are you? Or, for example, what's your favorite toy? He would answer all of the Quran. They brought him to a program recently, he's now, mashallah, a Sayyid, he's a scholar now, to a program called Mahfil, which is in Ramadan, they broadcasted. He's mashallah now has his own children, he has his own daughter. Why I say this? They were doing interviews with him, and he had his truck, toy truck. He was playing with it, all these cameras and all that. And the parents, the wise parents knew. He was 5 years old. Yes, he's Hafiz al-Quran and everything, but at the end of the day, he is a child. He was playing with his toys and all these, microphones and cameras. Go on with his life. 1 to 7, Prophet said that's how you treat your child. Not of instruction. 7 to 14 is a child that your child is your employee. The same way you watch, okay, what time, check in, check out, what are you doing, giving them exact tasks. From 7 to 14 is a discipline time. Go to bed at this time, you wake up at this time. Means they need instruction, discipline. Not to be abusive or anything, but you cannot say, what do you like? Do you think you want to go to school? No. You're going to school. You like it or not, you're going to school. But let's make sure you like it. Why you don't? Is there a bullying? Is there an issue in school? Is there, unnecessary? What is the problem? I'm going to talk about that, but there is no choice that you don't. So they need consistency. When people have kids, that's another problem. Again, one is pulling in this direction, another is pulling in that direction. One pulling in this direction. Or I just watched something on Instagram, let's try it on my child. Or I saw this lecture, let's try it on my child. Without consulting my spouse. Okay, we're a team, we're going to do this together. The child cannot ever come to the point that we are disagreeing. They're not in that time. We are a united front. Okay, we have different opinions, let's talk it out. We can have one. At the end of the day, I said, most helpful thing for the children is to hear one thing. Question, should my child memorize this surah or learn more math? Tutoring. One parents argue that it is important to memorize Quran for this reason. It's good for her or his spiritual growth. The other one said, I respect that, but right now, he or she is very struggling in math, she needs tutoring. Come to an agreement and make one side. It doesn't matter. You didn't lose. Agree. So okay, let's go with math tutoring. Eventually, one side has to let go. Otherwise, you say, oh no, I was defending Allah's side, Quran's side. I put my foot down because of that's not going to help your child. Even if that child learns Quran, once that pull happens, this lack of united front happens, your child is going to get harm, much greater than anything that they can memorize. So change is necessary. Once you have children, there's changes. Meaning, as a husband, you cannot expect your wife has the same kind of time for you. If you don't like it, there are actually studies about this, that husband feels abandoned after having children. But the Ahmad tells you, of course, obviously there's a problem. As you can see, there's not the same situation. The time is still the same time, the energy even is less, but there's more to be done. So change. Okay, I'm going to take a step back, have less expectation here. I'm not going to just say no expectation, less expectation. That's the change. As a mother who just had a child, you should know that yes, there's a child you are taking care of, but still your husband is your husband. Your husband should be first. I know no one likes to hear that, but your child is your priority, but your husband is also your priority. I've heard people say, since I have a child, now I know what's the true meaning of love. What? If it's a joke, I get it, but if it's truly mean, what did you just do? Yeah, I know you have to forget that the type of love of a child and a husband is not the same type. The material is not the same material. There is no clash between them. Let's put aside Freud and Freudian theories and all that. There is no challenge. The type is different. They have their own place. It's not that one is fighting the other. But the recognition should be there. My priority is that my husband is the priority. Yes, my husband adjusted his expectation because we are having a kid, but at the same time, I understand he still is my husband. Yes, we just had a child, but suddenly he didn't die, he's still there. Still exists. I said all of this Because people don't change. So, I want to have the same kind of relation we had when I was single. The same kind of relationship when we went on a honeymoon. Same kind of relationship when we didn't have kids. And the wife says no. And Allah la yughayyiru ma biqawmin. You have to make taghyir, you have to make changes. You have to adjust. And that doesn't make you weak. That's make you aqil, that's make you wise. Imam Ali, the one who's the same one who left the door of Khaybar. Right? The same man. Some people said, if this is the type of strength and bravery he has, why they came at his door and attacked his house? Why they use that strength? This is the one thing, no tabligh needed, no adjustment needed. One, again, the circumstances are not the same, right? One is Islam versus Kufr. It's an entire faith versus enemies of faith. Here is unfortunately, if you like it or not, was within the same faith. And if there was the same kind of approach, as Imam Ali himself said, the reason I didn't use that kind of strength and power, the reason I did not put an end to their lives at that moment when they attacked my house, was because of the religion of Allah. Otherwise, the enemies were waiting for us to just start this and they will put an end to the faith. Besides that, what was the reason for Imam not to use his Zulfiqar? It's not because he was old. He was 30 years old, he was one of the youngest men. He fought later on in Jamal, later on he fought in Safin with Khawarij, but there he chose not to. Of course, he's the Imam. He has the wisdom of the Imam. He has the direction from Allah. But ultimately, there is a taghyir. There is that wisdom to change when it's necessary. Otherwise, to just be the same way all the time is not a quality. On the set of our values, we can be the same. We can, we should. I have the same values. But in my approach, I can make changes, and I should make changes. When the Prophet said, talk to their children like children. Talk to people based on their level of intellect. كلم الناس نحن معاشر الأنبياء كلم الناس على قدر عقولهم. This is the way of prophets. This is the tradition of prophets, that they talk to the people according to their intellect level. Hisham ibn Hakam, companion of Imam Sadiq, asked questions about theology. There's very, very detailed, intricate theological debate between Imam Sadiq and him. He was not a Shia, he became a Shia after those conversations. But once he becomes a Shia, he becomes someone that when Imam wants to send someone for debate, he's the one that the Imam appoints. Hisham ibn Hakam. And there are people that Imam forbid them from debate, so you don't have any. There is a proper etiquette, there's a proper method, there's a proper approach. Hisham's one. But if an old woman was asked, why do you believe in God? She had this mechanical machine, basically working on some threads. It's a thread-making machine, basically. She was literally had the handle moving it. And they asked her, why do you believe in God? And all she said, again, is an old woman, never, probably illiterate, never had education. So the reason I believe in Allah is that this machine, if this hand stops moving it, it's going to stop. There's no more threat, there's nothing going on. Everything stops. This world that I live in, I see everything in motion from the day and night to the movement of the animals and people and everything. There is a hand behind it. For her, that was sufficient. For nowadays, people who read some atheists who make cases for everything and talk about perpetual energy and all these things, probably this is not enough argument to make with them. Because the level of intellect is not the same. That's why if your grandmother said, I believe in Allah this way, I believe in Islam this way, please do not make them feel horrible about their faith. That's okay for them. They grew up that way, that's how much they knew. Good for them. For you, you grew up in a different time, you went to different set of instructions and education, probably you need more. Your research is more. There are answers for you as well. Not probably the same kind of answer there for you, but you cannot expect others to have the same kind of arguments. The goal, the outcome is the same, but the method and the approach is not the same. So that's enough, inshallah, for tonight. The key word for tonight was taghyir, change. That in a healthy relationship, in a healthy family, same with a healthy community. We're not right now, alhamdulillah, the change that's something we need to see. And there are different approaches that sometimes changes is needed, not to change the goal, not change the ideal, but the approach could be rectified, modified, make it suitable for the need of the time. May Allah, with all of the amount of time, help us to recognize when we should make the change and how to make that change. And help us the strength to accept that it is on me and the change is necessary in me, rather than, God forbid, blaming always the other side. Rather than shifting the blame, Ya Allah, help me to have that ma'rifatul nafs, to know myself well, to recognize who I am and what should I do in order to take the responsibility for the change that has to be done with the salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد.
11th of Moharram. From now on, the name that we will hear quite often in every majlis would be the name of Zainab, sallallahu alayha. Daughter of Ali ibn Abi Talib, sister of Hassan and Hussein, and the brave, righteous, dedicated, sincere believer who carried the flag of Karbala, the message of Hussein, from the day of Ashura for the rest of her life. And like everything valuable, it does not come free, it doesn't come without a cost. Zainab, who is a Zainab that we know right now, did not become a Zainab without the difficulties, without the price that she paid. The history says today they spend the time in Karbala. They didn't leave Karbala on the 10th. So today, the 11th, they were still in Karbala. They spent the night in Karbala. Last night, Sham al-Taliban, after they attacked camp of Abu Abdullah Hussein, after they burned down the tents, after they stole and looted everything of value was taken away from the Ahlul Bayt of Abu Abdullah, from the family of the Prophet. Even they did not spare earrings of children. After all of that tragedy, in the middle of the night, Zainab is walking from one place to another. What is she doing? She is the one who received instructions from Imam Hussein on the night of Ashura that my sister Zainab, after our Shahada, after we're gone, my Zainab, you know that my son Zain al-Abidin, he is ill, he is sick. But my Zainab, you will be the leader of this caravan. You are in charge of these women and children. You're looking after them. These are amanat, these are the trustees that I will leave them with you. عَلَيْكُنَّ بِالصَّبْرِ. I advise you to be patient. On that night, Zainab is looking after the amanat of Imam Hussein. She went to the first half-burned tent, checked on the widows, orphans, children, and now she is keeping count, keeping track of everyone. Ya Allah. We have that in history been mentioned that she was looking for anyone who was missing. Sakina Salamullah alayha was the first that she notices not in the half-burned tent with the rest of the family of Allah Abdullah. She started looking in the darkness of the night for Sakina. She ran from Maysara to Maymana, from left of the camp to the right, until she heard the faint voice of Sakina in the middle of the night. The voice is coming from Qatlagar. The voice is coming from where Imam Hussein was martyred. Zainab approached Qatlagar, this place, which Zainab saw what happened to her beloved brother. And Sakina is the one talking to the body of her father, or at least what is left of this body, Ya Rasulullah. Because of the day of Ashura, after the Shahada of Imam Hussein, Umar ibn Sa'd, may Allah remove his mercy from him, ordered, sharpen the hooves of your horses, get ready. What should we do? Everybody asked. He said, go and trample the body of these Shuhada. That we want to make an example out of these who revolted against the Amir. We have that they said, let's begin with the companions of Hussein. They said, let's begin with Hur, but there were people from the tribe of Hur who refused and said, we're not going to do that to the body of our tribesmen. They said, let's go with the other Shuhada, Hawad Habib, Muslim ibn Awsajah. These are the people of Kufa, and there were Kufans in the army of Umar ibn Sa'd. And they stood up and said, we will not let that happen. They are from our tribe, they are our tribesmen. And everyone was suggested, there was someone to stand up between them and the suggestion of disrespecting and desecrating the bodies of them. But there was one person, one name left that no one was there to stand up for. And even Abul Fadl Abbas, when he was mentioned, we have that from Bani Kilab, there were people who said, we're not going to do that, that his mother is from our tribe. But the name of Hussein Fatima was mentioned and no one stood up. Oh Mazloom, oh Ghareeb, that you didn't have anyone to stand up for you. I said, let's do it to the body of Hussein. And the horses came upon the body of Abu Abdullah. If you've been to Karbala, you've seen there is a place that has its own ziyarah, it has its own ghareeb, which is known Qatlagar. And then with a bit of distance is where the grave of Imam Hussein said. Some sources says that why should there should be this distance, that this is where Imam Hussein was killed and this is where it was buried. Some say because when they brought the horses, the body of Abu Abdullah, under the feet of horses, were thrown from one place to another. And this body now, Sakina left it up, and now she is talking to her father, my dear father Hussein, who has done this to you? How they treated you this way? Didn't they know that Rasulullah kissed his body? What happened to you? من الذي أيتمني في صغر سني? Who orphaned me at this young age? Now everybody is going to call me an orphan. My dear Hussein, look at the middle of the night. There is no Ali Akbar. There is no Uncle Abbas. Who's going to defend us right now? Who stood up there? Who was the one being the defender of the Ahlul Bayt? Zainab approached Sakina and said, my dear Sakina, don't let Shaitan take away your sabr. Remember that what your dad told us, Inna Allah ma'as sabirin, that Allah loves those who are are patient. Allah is with those who are patient. Come with me, O Sakina. And we have that Zainab brought Sakina and reunited her with the rest of family. And now is the turn of Zainab herself. Now when she checked, everyone is sleeping, resting. Everybody's now accounted for. Now is the turn for Zainab. What first thing that Zainab did was Ista'inu bis-sabr was-salah. Quran says that when you're seeking help, one way to get help is to stand for prayers. And we have that Zainab in the middle of the night, she stood for Salatul Layl, for mustahab prayer. But the legs of Zainab don't let her stand up. This leg who barefoot ran from on the desert on the plain of Karbala, watching after the kids, looking after Imam Zain al-Abidin. These legs have no more strength. And what she remembered the word of her brother Abu Abdullah on the night of Ashura, when Imam Hussein told her, my dear sister, when you stand up for Salat after me, remember to pray for me. Remember, don't forget of me, Hussein. Mention me in your du'as. And now after the Salat, Zainab could not stand there anymore. Because on the day of Ashura, Imam told her, Zainab and the woman stay in the tent. Do not come outside. This is the order of the Imam. But now is the evening of the day of Ashura. Hazrat Zainab said, I didn't grieve. I didn't meet my brother. I was not able to mourn properly. In the middle of the night, she approached the body of Abu Abdullah. But she made sure none of the orphans saw her. None of the other family members saw her. Alone in the darkness of the night, Zainab approached the body of her brother. When she get to the body, the first thing she said was, Allahumma taqabbal minna hadha al-qurban. Ya Allah, this is the sacrifice from the family of your messenger. Which the messenger, the one who said, وَفَدَيْنَاهُ بِذِبْحٍ عَظِيمٍ. This a great sacrifice that was made. This sacrifice, Ya Allah, accepted from the family of Muhammad. And then the second thing she said was, Sallallahu alayka malik as-samaa. هذا حسينك مرمل بالدماء مقطع الأعضاء. She said, Oh Rasulullah, may the peace and blessing of the angels of Allah be upon you. Look at this body who's covered in blood. This body who performed ghusl in blood. This is your beloved Hussein. وعلى لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. يا الله يا رحمن يا رحيم يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. Ya Allah, by the honor of Abu Abdullah Hussein, hasten in reappearance of Imam our time, Imam Sahih al-Zaman. Ya Allah, the heart of our Imam is in pain, not only because it's Moharram, but also when the Imam in the Hujjat of Allah sees the atrocities in the world, when he sees what's happening in Palestine. This is the Ummah of Prophet. When the Ummah of Prophet is in pain, the Imam is in pain. When he sees what's happening with the Shias of Ahlul Bayt in Oman, there was an attack in Oman. There was an attack on Afghanistan and the Shias of Afghanistan, or anywhere else. Some of them we get the news, some of them we don't. And when the month of Moharram comes, the enemies of Ahlul Bayt take advantage of the time of the Shias gathering under the banner of Imam Hussein. And indeed, the suffering of the Shia is truly indeed painful for the Imam of our time. Ya Allah, grant the heart of our Imam solace, and Ya Allah, hasten in his coming, which his coming will be the true faraj, the true solution, the true resolution for any issues we're dealing with. Ya Allah, hasten in his coming as soon as possible. Help us to be among his dedicated and sincere followers. Ya Allah, until the last breath, do not take away the love of Hussein and the love of the family of the Prophet and Prophet from our hearts. Ya Allah, by the honor of Abu Abdullah, make sure that we raise our children, we raise our family on the path of Islam, on the path of Allah, on the path of Quran, and especially on the path of the Ahlul Bayt and Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Ya Allah, we pray for all the Marine, all those who are in need of our dua, those who are ill, those who requested dua. Ya Allah, grant them strength of iman, grant them patience, and Ya Allah, grant them immediate shifa and healing and recovery. And Ya Allah, bless the soul of all of our marhumeen, all the mu'mineen and mu'minat, especially the marhumeen of the sponsors of Majlis, marhumeen of the volunteers, and marhumeen of the participants of tonight's Majlis. Surah Fatiha with the salawat ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
اللهم صل على